Thank you very much, Darrell, for joining with us in this show with Mondovo, and our readers are going to love this show, pretty much sure. So tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. My name is Darrell Evans. I am the co-founder of a digital marketing agency here in Las Vegas, Nevada, here in the United States, called Yokel Local Internet Marketing, and we've recently trademarked and changed some branding, so we're now known as just Yokel Local. And we got started in 2011. I've got a background in marketing that dates back to before the internet. I know you can't tell by the young looks that I'm that old, but I'm 46 this year. So fortunately, I started marketing offline before the digital marketing thing ever took off, and so it was very easy to transition online around 2004. I owned a different company at that time. I've been an entrepreneur for the better part of the last 20 years, and saw the early trends in 2004, 2005, took my company at that time online, and when the market transitioned in 2008, 2009, saw it as a great opportunity to pivot in my career and jump into a space that I really was passionate about marketing. I've been passionate about marketing even though I've owned 2 or 3 other companies. The marketing side of the business and the growth model of businesses has always been my real passion. So I saw an opportunity with my business partner to change gears and start really working one-on-one with business owners to help them grow. And of course, at that time, the economy was terrible. So our model is more of a partnership type model, not a service providing model as a lot of businesses are. So hopefully that answers your question.
Fantastic. Yokel Local is a very interesting name. Pretty much people will know that. Okay, fine. Local SEO, well, that's the person that we got to go and check it. So, where did it all start? You said 2011. So, what came first, or how was it?
Yeah, so 2011 we got started, and yeah, initially the funny thing is we started as a local SEO company, which all of my businesses in the past were local service-based businesses, professional services. So the draw was to duplicate what we had done in our own businesses, and my partner and I to bring that into other local businesses. And so that was the core of how we got started. But of course, as you know, the internet changes a mile a minute, and you have to be able to adapt and be flexible with the changes. And so local SEO, we found out in 2012, just a year or 2 into it, maybe 2013, that local SEO would not stand on its own as an isolated service, right? It wouldn't be able to deliver the value to the business, and we would end up becoming commoditized out of a job or out of, I think of it today as any web designer today who just offers web design. You're probably, unless you're really that 5% of companies, you're really going to struggle to really make a long-term income because you're constantly going to be chasing the next project. Local SEO, we found that to be the case in 2012. We started moving into the content marketing aspect of full-on SEO. We also entered the web design business, and we had a full-time production studio. I'm sitting in our former production studio. In fact, if you go Google Yokel Local and look at our old or look at our current page, we still have a picture of our 360-degree office showing a video studio.
I didn't see that. Yes.
But we exited the video business along with a number of other business lines in December. But today, we're a full-on digital marketing agency that handles inbound marketing. We handle it from the start to finish, all the way from design, all the way through content development, through buyer persona identification. We build out sales funnels, full marketing automation. So we really started moving that way in 2013. And to be quite frank, we tried to piece together a bunch of tools to do it. We sort of avoided the decision we made last summer, which was to become a HubSpot partner. For looking at the price of the difference. So, but we made a decision last summer just to make a transition in our company holistically, and we're doing okay.
Fantastic. So how many employees right now in Yokel Local?
I'm sorry?
How many employees right now?
We're at 8 right now, and we're actually hiring. So we were at 12 at one point with our old model where we had video and we had web design and we were a Google Business partner as well with the Google Business View program when it first came out. We pulled those lines back and we went down to 6. Actually, I guess we're up to 9 now. So we're at 9, and we are hiring another a 10th person next month.
That's not bad. 2013 and 2016 here, we're in the mid and you got to manage, like, you're building up your own team that shows, like, how it's actually growing up. That's pretty interesting. Very good. So, in terms of, like, let's talk about the business side of it. Yes, if I understand I look into your website, like your forte is in terms of complete inbound, being an HubSpot agency there, like, you would be kind of covering a 360 degree. So what would be your forte? And if I have to say that, okay, Yokel Local is kind of differentiate themselves from their competitors on something, what would be that?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. What we've decided is even though we started in the local business space, we stayed true to that. So today, 90% of our customers today are local service professionals. And let me define that so that your audience will kind of know what I mean. It's funny, when I tell people this, we don't work with restaurants, beauty salons, tanning stores. Our business, we don't even work with fitness facilities. What we like about inbound is the 3 stages of the buying cycle, right? So when I was in the mortgage industry years and years ago, I had all these different types of buyers who wanted to buy a house. So if I had a first-time buyer, or if I had an investor, I could have someone who was retiring and moving from, let's say, Chicago to Las Vegas. All 3 of those buyers, they ultimately needed a mortgage, but they all had different ways that they would go about shopping it. They all had different education levels. So back in those days when I did direct mail and offline advertising with newspapers and magazines, I understood how to segment my buyers through direct response marketing, and I knew how to target my messaging for each audience. So as this online marketing has grown, what we've done is we've gone out and looked at the professional service businesses that have what we call longer than normal sales cycles. And so what I'm speaking of is an estate planning attorney, for example, a divorce lawyer, a LASIK eye surgeon, a cosmetic or elective medical service provider who may be providing plastic surgery or LASIK or orthodontics even. And then other types of businesses where there may be a nice lifetime cycle on the buying. So maybe an auto service center that has a repeat customer database where you hope the car doesn't break down every week or every month, but over time, if they build up a trusted resource with their database, that person's going to come back to see that customer or see that business over and over. So we like to work with companies that have a 3-part defined buying cycle of awareness, consideration, decision. We used to call it research, comparison, and purchase. It doesn't matter how you label it, but we want the sales cycle typically to be 60 days to a year. Another good example, even though it's kind of not B2C, we like technology. We like the IT space because the IT purchase isn't something that happens overnight. So it's typically a longer sales cycle. And what that allows us to do, it allows us to fully integrate content marketing, social media marketing, as well as paid advertising in a cohesive program so that we're selling an entire program to a business, or we're really, the way we differentiate is we're an outsourced marketing agency that is looking for companies that are a little too small for the big giant agency, but they're also bigger than, they're bigger than wanting to trust an independent, quote unquote, marketing consultant or, solopreneur marketer. So we're looking for that business that's grown through startup, and they want to go after the big competitor in their space. And in their space, that might be locally, not nationally, let's say. Although we do have a couple of e-commerce companies as well that are more targeting the national spotlight. So, but that's kind of what we've done. And so people don't come to us and just hire us for SEO. They don't just come hire us for local SEO or social media marketing anymore. It really is, we're very defined on the type of business in that professional service umbrella. And we've defined a very good model that has been serving them pretty well.
Oh, fantastic. That's pretty interesting. It's very nice to understand how you have classified your audience and how you want to be approaching them. That's a pretty cool one. So basically, how do you acquire new leads? How much do you spend anything on it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I saw your question when it came over, and I'm like, here's what I put. So it says, how much do you typically spend to acquire a lead? I wrote, great questions. And I know I shouldn't say that as a founder, but so here's the thing. We started our business right here in Las Vegas. And of course, being a founder yourself, when you start a company, you need business today, right? So we did the normal thing. We hit the ground running. We joined the Chamber of Commerce. We joined every networking group we could find. We got our name out there, and we started bringing in business. Of course, that was our old model, right? And in our old model, we were doing isolated local SEO, and then eventually local, web design and some local services. So as we made our transition in 2013 and 14, 14 coming into 15, we realized that that model obviously wasn't scalable, right? Networking is a great revenue source, but it's not scalable. And if you're planning on scaling your company, networking is just not going to be the way to do it, because the minute you take yourself out of the environment and put a sales rep in that environment, it's an entirely different story. So we began looking at, believe it or not, 3 years in, I guess, beginning to look at our own online marketing and saying, hey, when are we going to take that seriously? Like we're doing it for our clients. Like we're the cobbler with no shoes, right? We're succeeding for our clients, but we wouldn't take time out of the day to do it for ourselves. And to be quite frank, we started that last year, and we started seeing some success. But let me answer your question. Offline, I think from a standpoint of cost per lead, is probably, if you look at my partner and I's time on the ground doing networking and things of that nature, you probably have to take a multiple of our hourly rate or what our normal hourly rate should be if we were paid, whatever. So I don't have a great answer for that, but our closing ratio is really high in that world, right? Online, I can tell you that after I got your question, I looked at what we spent on advertising last year, which was not much. I think in our Facebook account, we have spent maybe a total of $10,000 in the last year or so. So not a lot of money. We've acquired one customer from social media paid advertising, but the problem with, I think, cost per acquisition with our model is generally we're not a one-touch close, right? We're not an e-commerce play. So someone may find us on social, whether, we got 7,000 fans on Facebook, not a lot, 7,000 followers on Twitter, again, not a lot. But we're doing a lot of the active engaging, so we're posting a lot of content, we're curating, and we're touching a lot of people, and people are making it to our website. But of course, with cookies and all this other crazy stuff, even with closed loop marketing, you lose sort of the attribution of where they found you. So I don't have a great example, but I will tell you, with the budget we're planning on for the second half of this year, we're hoping to acquire a new customer for $2,800. That's what our goal is as we start our new marketing campaign into the second half of the year. I don't have a clue if that's going to work, but I got to come up with a number somewhere, right?
But typically, how long does it take, Darrell? Fine, when you start approaching, now that you got a first inbound lead, now of course you send the proposal. Now most of the agencies have this problem. You send a proposal and then they ask questions, and a lot of proposals goes out, but the number of people coming back to you is very minimal. So what's the lead conversion time there?
Well, yeah, I want to give you two things. You're right about that, and we experienced it, and then we did something to change that last year, and I'll tell you about that. But I will tell you the number I definitely know is we do close 40% of our proposals. Okay. Coming into that was 2015.
That's a good number. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. So of the number, and so we obviously pre-qualified pretty hard. And the funny thing is, even though we closed 40% of our proposals, we still thought that number was too low, because we wouldn't send proposals to everybody. We had a very strong filtering process, and we literally only felt like we should send a proposal to someone who we already thought was going to do the business. So we didn't want to do the exercise of creating a bunch of proposals all the time. We just don't have time to do that. But to your other question, and more importantly, it was extremely frustrating with the lead time on a proposal or a prospecting process, kind of the discovery to, fact-finding and finding the pain points and then discovering solutions and putting the proposal. In our past, up until 2000, through the close of 2015, that process could be as quick as 60 days, but it was very few of those. But it could be more commonly 4 to 6 months. And we began studying that problem. Early last year, and as we tailed into the last half of the year and we became a HubSpot partner, we really looked at what was going to be our new process now, because now we're going to be talking almost about some level of services that we've never provided, although we know how to do them. And we decided to change our entire sales approach. So the typical sales approach in my mind kind of goes like this. someone inquires or you find someone that wants to talk more about it, you have a discovery call or a discovery meeting, might be 15 minutes to an hour. From there, you kind of go back and say, okay, let me evaluate where you're at, come up with some ideas. We'll get back again another week from now. We'll present to you some data, some findings, and how our solution could help. We'll then send you a proposal, and you'll get to work with your people and figure out when it's going to come together. And then it becomes a game of chase, right? And I've been in sales for a long time, and I flat out hate chase. I just want an answer. Like, give me a yes, give me a no, tell me something, because I got to go. I can't be chasing you forever. Like, I'm that sales guy who hates chasing people, and I hate being chased. So I'd rather just tell you right now, we're not going to do business with you right now, but call me back in 8 months, and we'll pick up the conversation. I'm just that kind of guy. Well, we decided to evaluate why the 60% of our proposals didn't close.
My next question was that. Yes, yeah. What you kind of found of that? Yes.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to simplify it the way we explain it to customers today. We believe that the reason the 60% didn't close, and if you go with what I said before, which is we didn't want to send a proposal to someone who we didn't already think was qualified, and they didn't already have the interest. So if we're putting out a proposal, we should be at 100%, in my mind, right? And then that's just the way we did it. So we spent time on the 60% who didn't close, and I'll tell you what I think I simplified it down to, Bala, is we didn't close what's called the knowledge gap. And let me say it this way, and I'm paraphrasing the way somebody else said it, but it made perfect sense to us. So we're experts in what we do. You're an expert at what you do, we're an expert at what we do, and we're sitting at a 10 at that level, right? Now, of course, if we got in conversation with our peers, we might be a 4 compared to other people in our space, but in our world to our customer, we're a 10. And they're over here as a 1. Maybe they're a 0. Maybe they have no clue what internet marketing, online marketing, inbound marketing, they don't even care, right? I always say this when I do presentations. There's not one business owner that works with us that wakes up in the middle of the night who had a dream about being on the first page of Google, and he's like, God, I can't wait to call that internet marketing company in the morning, right?
It never happens. It always like, no, we want money. Where is that you're going to get it from? That's it.
Right. So we've got this customer at 0 or maybe 1. We're over here at a 10. And we think when we do our presentations that we're dumbing it down to a level they can understand. And I'll tell you that we revised our proposal framework probably no less than a dozen times over the last 4 or 5 years. And we still never got better results. So what this gentleman said was, he said, we dumb it down maybe to a 7 or an 8. And the customer, unfortunately, is still at a 1 or a 2. But what he said was this. He said, if you can get them to a 4 and bring your presentation down to a 4, you're going to close the business without question. So if I had to answer your question without getting into the nitty-gritty, we really worked hard at dumbing down our presentation to a 4 and then getting them up to a 4. And so I'll tell you that this year, even though we changed our model, and we're not aggressively seeking a whole bunch of new clients at the moment because we're onboarding this new process, and we're also growing with new staff, so we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So we're being careful about client acquisition right now. But our new model sells basically a planning process on the front end, as opposed to selling a retainer, which might be $40,000, $50,000, $80,000. We're not selling a retainer anymore. So we've dumbed it down to what we call a marketing game plan product, where it's easy for them to understand what's going to happen and break down all of what they need. Because a lot of times the business comes to us and says, hey, I need you to help me with SEO, or I need you to help me with Facebook, or I need you to help me with pay-per-click. And the reality is none of those work independently. They don't all work in silos, they all work together. So that's really what we've done. So we believe we've worked hard on simplifying our presentation, and we've removed all of the complexity about SEO. Like, they don't give a rip about H1 tags and title tags and keyword research and all this stuff that we used to say we were going to do for them. It was just like, I would gloss over, and so we started paying attention to that and really just speaking to the needs of what they need. At the end of the day, the business owner wants one thing. Well, they want a couple of things. They know they want to improve their online presence. They know their website needs to get some traffic. They get that idea. They're not getting any right now. They know they want customer inquiries, and that was another word. So in our business, we always use the word leads, capture leads, get traffic, conversions. And these guys want patience. You know, they want clients. They want customers. They don't want leads and conversions. So we removed all that dialogue out of our, so if you look at our homepage of our website, it says get customers online without wasting money so you can grow your business with confidence. That's become our tagline because that's all they want. They want customers. They know they want them online. They know they've wasted money, so we want to say let's not waste any money. And then they really just want to feel confident because most of the clients we work with have had bad experiences with other agencies. So we're trying to position that we're going to give you the confidence that your business is going to grow again. And that's been what we did. So to long-winded story of how we've simplified our messaging, but that's what we talk about now when we're prospecting and when we're going through our product presentation or our presentation for our retainer. And
Very,
so forth.
very, very well said. Because setting the expectation is the number one priority when it comes to the customers, and I think you're doing the perfect thing over there. Perfectly done.
Thank you.
Very good. So, Yokel Local, how many customers do you have right now?
So, I mean, in total, we're in excess of 200, given the product work, the project work we used to do with websites, and we've had on and off Facebook campaigns, and some of our old legacy clients are still on local SEO packages. But I'd like to give you a more pertinent number, which is our retainer business today, because it's what we're gauging our growth by right now. So under our brand new model, we have about 8 brand new retainer clients, and I want to kind of separate the two conversations and why it matters so much. Because our old model had a retainer value of about $1,400 a month. So on average with all that business. And by the way, I'm extracting the project work for websites and Google Business Views and videos and stuff like that. But our old retainer model was a $1,400 or so a month retainer. And today we're north of $5,000. And so for us, we're bringing in the right clients who have the right mindset, and they also have the right capital to expend to grow their business to the next level, which is why we've set our market demographic for the type of company we're looking for. So that's been the big shift in the last 6-7 months for us, 5 months, if you will. But this year, our goal is to get our new retainer book. I think we could easily, and without breaking our system, so that's part of this year's problem is growing without breaking. And that I think we can get to 25 or 30 new retainer clients under this new model. So I think we could triple or quadruple where we're at right now in the last part of the year.
That's pretty interesting. So how long does this retainer model work? How long do they stick with you? Like 2 years, 3 years? It's been forever?
We've been very fortunate. And my partner and I, we share this belief that nothing matters if they're not happy. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much. We don't do any contracts. So let me say it that way. We buck the trend, and we basically say that you wouldn't hire an employee and guarantee them a year's salary. So we want to be treated as if we have to earn the right to be with you for a long period of time. Okay? So we've got clients who've been with us since 2011 when we started. We've got a couple. But 20 months is about the average. I had to check before we got here. But we're at 20 months right now, and given that we're in our 5th year, so we're getting close to 2 years on average.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. Very good. Now,
And there's no 12-month commitment, so it's month by month by month. So your other question that you asked me was, what's your retention strategy? And I'll tell you that our retention strategy is we care about their goals. And I know that sounds really simple and esoteric, but we care about their goals. We typically care about them. Otherwise, we don't like working with them.
Absolutely.
Like, we want to like them as people. You know what I mean? And more importantly, we are measuring results like it's going out of style. And then we're having to communicate to them the value of those results. One example that I'll give you is that we have a LASIK eye center that we built a pretty good success story with. And although our numbers were off the charts, he had a sales problem. So he had an internal sales problem. Because we track these numbers, we track traffic, leads from every resource, conversions from Facebook, everything you could think of. And by the way, so he was getting, 30 or 40 leads a month from the web when we met. And he's up consistently now. This has been, we're in our third year with him now. We just crossed over, he's been 2 years with us February. So we're into our third year. And he's up around 240 leads a month consistently.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, in a local market, right? The problem though is...
Darrell, also take me through the process, like how you got that particular thing into 240 leads per month, like, quickly and briefly telling us that whole process of what you said for him.
I can tell you the biggest thing we did for him. First, fortunately, he'd been with another company, so there was some data that was already there, right? And well, if you're an SEO guy like your data can give you opportunities to win right from the get-go, right? So I like to look at it this way. I used to coach football. I played football, baseball growing up, and then I coached football. When I grew up playing football, if I had a way to look back at the game film from the previous game, I could find out what went right, I could find out what went wrong, and I can prepare for the next week so I can get better. So the fact that the customer had a lot of data of traffic, we were able to spot right away. I mean, we took that number to 90 like in the first couple of months. And we didn't do anything different. Like we were just getting started with the SEO strategy, but all we did was fix his conversion funnel.
Okay.
And I want to say I'm going to go one step further. Everything we do hinges around the buyer. So it sounds crazy, but before we get into tactics and get into strategies and get into SEO and PPC and sales funnels and email automation, we bring it all the way back to who is your customer and how many different types of customers do you have, so that we can put the messaging in an appropriate alignment with their journey. So that's really all we did at the beginning. And then as time has gone on, we've of course implemented content marketing, Facebook. I don't think we handle his paid ads, actually. I'm trying to think if we handle his paid ads. Maybe we do, I can't remember. But we brought it all together over that year and into the second year. And so his SEO traffic's gone straight up, his Facebook conversions. He actually gets better conversions out of Facebook on a percentage basis than he does out of his search engine optimization. Mm-hmm. But of course, the traffic is quite high on search. So, but yep.
Look, quickly understanding, like 290 leads today if he's getting it. Like, what is the percentage or amount he's actually spending for each leads? Trying to understand what's the number behind that.
Well, I can tell you let me give you the holistic number, because I don't have it all right in front of me, but on a yearly basis, the last 2 years, he's acquired, and we've got a lead value for every lead that comes through the door. And he's got 3 buckets of leads. I'm sorry, I keep putting my fingers up, but he's got 1, 2, 3. He's got 3 buckets of leads. He's got a top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. And so each lead bucket has an assigned dollar amount. Let me just give you an idea of what he, and obviously you can probably imagine, the surgery is about $4,000 on average. He does offer a financing program, so he may collect some of that over time. But every year, the last 2 years, he's got in excess of $550,000 in lead value, and he pays us 1/10 of that.
Brilliant. That's a pretty good job, I should say.
Yeah, and I've been in his office and witnessed him do 16 surgeries in a day. So if you can run some math, he does surgery 5 days a week. So I don't know, he's obviously, it's not all attributed to us. Let's be clear, but of the problem that we ran into last summer was his sales team. We found were cherry picking the leads, so they couldn't keep up, and he never told us. And so he got a little frustrated with us until we had a meeting that said, hey, I don't quite understand. All the leads are coming through. Your team just can't handle them. He never hired any new salespeople. So that's been another problem that we've had to address going forward, because he's not the only client we've had that problem with. We're working that problem right now with an auto collision center and an auto service center. Inevitably, our success in the campaign over time presents a sales problem for the business that they didn't anticipate, and even we didn't anticipate. So now we're moving into the CRM and sales automation side to help them out with writing sales automation and follow-up sequences, and that's largely why we chose to go ahead and go with HubSpot down the line, because they have everything in one, where we can handle sales automation as well as marketing automation, as well as the segmenting, filtering, and lifetime closed loop marketing aspects of it. So that's something we're offering now that's pretty new. But we found out the hard way, because he almost fired us. He almost fired us.
Right.
Because he's frustrated that his sales weren't growing, but the leads were, our charts were saying, everything is crushing it. What do you mean the leads aren't growing? And or what do you mean the sales aren't growing? And so it took a few meetings to get it backwards and figure out that he had a sales problem. So that's kind of what's going on with him. But that's an example. It's not uncommon for us to be delivering 5 to 10 times the lead value in what the client's paying us. And then, of course, they usually are selling on their side.
Perfect. That does make sense. We do have those customers, who we do everything for them, but they typically don't understand what is actually happening, and then there's a miscommunication which kind of happens. So in that case, do you have any favorite customers or bad customer experience in that way?
I'll tell you that our favorite customers are the ones, and I have a lot of favorite customers, and it has nothing to do with how much they pay us. It has everything to do with their level of trust with us, right? Our ideal fit is a client who loves what they do, and they just want a team like us to take care of the details so they can go do more of what they love to do. Our worst customers are the ones that don't listen. And again, this is some of our legacy business. They're not coachable. They think that all they need is local SEO. They think Facebook doesn't work, and they're just not interested in the advice that we're providing as the markets continue to change. Having said that, the process we use now to sort of get away from getting a bad client is we have this 3 or 4 week process at the beginning where we're really looking at who this buyer is, who the customer is, and we're assessing the likability factor of this client and whether or not he's coachable and whether he's got a mindset for where he wants his business to go. So we're identifying really hard, what does this business owner want to do going forward? Does he just want to try this out? Or is he committed, right? He doesn't have to be committed to us, but he has to believe in his own heart that the internet is going to take his business to the next level. We're done trying to convince business owners that the internet's not going away, that Facebook matters, that that these platforms are where your customers are hanging out. And if by now we have to convince them of that, those are typically our worst customers.
Oh, pretty cool. So you do have a way to qualify the leads that kind of comes to you too, right?
Yeah, we've developed it. We've continued to refine it. I can give you a couple of qualifications for us. Number one, they have to probably be between at least 1 million and 10 million in revenue already. So they've got to be beyond that startup phase and kind of seeing success already. Number two, we typically find that they've already been around 7 to 10 years or longer in terms of their company existence. Number three, we prefer, again, to have professional service firms that have longer sales cycles. Number four, we want to see that they've spent at least $24,000 a year in marketing and advertising somewhere else in the last year. If they haven't spent that kind of money, they typically will not understand our conversation.
Perfect. No, that's a pretty nice way to understand and qualify the leads. That's very important.
And then we gotta like them. Then we gotta like them. We have a lot of conversations, and literally we're thinking to ourselves, do we really like this person?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, look, Mama, we don't have a contract.
Yeah.
I got to look at some other intangibles, right? You may have all the money in the world, but we don't like you. And this happened in January. Where we worked with a guy, and 3-4 weeks into it, we were like, we don't like it. Let's not offer him a retainer. Let's be done with it. We're not going to offer him a retainer. And it was just, my partner says it better than I do. Stormy, he'll say, neither one of us want to be in a bad marriage. Right?
Got it.
So if there's friction, if we're not seeing eye to eye, if you don't understand our model, if we don't understand what you're trying to accomplish, and we can't be on the same page in a couple of weeks process, then this is going to be probably problematic. So we'd rather, and we'll work hard to get them a referral. I mean, we have no problem with it. But we just say it.
Fantastic. Now, before I get into the next one, I just want to understand, one question. I don't know if I shared that with you. Do you have any customer that you tried really hard, but it did not work because of some condition or something like that? And any lessons on that?
Yeah, I would tell you the biggest problems we've had were our own failures to qualify the customer before they got here. I don't think people are bad inherently. I don't think businesses are bad inherently. It was us not knowing the right questions to ask, and we, maybe out of scarcity mindset, didn't want to lose the deal. We didn't look at the signs that were right there, that he or she was going to be uncooperative, they weren't going to be coachable. And I keep going back to this because I think that there's no guarantees in what we do. You know that, right? And these business owners have to have a mindset of having had some adversity in the past. And if they haven't been able to fight through adversity to grow their business, they're never going to understand the various things that can happen with Facebook changing their platform every week, with Google changing algorithms all the time, with Twitter popping up, and then all of a sudden a new platform like maybe Periscope comes in, but then they don't have an idea of understanding the waves of the internet. And so for us, I can think of one guy who is probably our worst client, but it isn't his fault. It was our fault. He showed signs that he was going to be a pain in the neck from the get-go, and we ignored it. And that's our fault. I mean, he's not a bad dude. I don't even know the guy. I mean, but it was our problem. And so we look at everything back. We take self-responsibility for every bad scenario that's happened. If the client leaves us for some reason, not that they always leave for bad reasons, they don't, but we've been very fortunate to not lose a lot of clients, and we definitely haven't lost many under bad terms. I think we've had maybe just 2 or 3 under bad terms where the expectations we didn't get expectations on the same page. But for the most part, we've been very fortunate that if a client moved on, it was because one company, I remember a fitness company we had early on, they were part of a franchise, and their franchise hired some national company. We worked with a large, major insurance carrier that I can't name here because we have a non-disclosure. But you would know them. They run lots of funny commercials that catch people's attention. And we left on bad terms because we ended up working with 7 or 8 of their offices. And then as we moved into the project of getting all 150 offices, which would have been our biggest client, we just ended up in conflict with the corporate side of their company. And we couldn't reach terms, and unfortunately the 8 offices suffered because the corporate put out a thing that said you can't work with Yokel Local anymore. And so that was an unfortunate situation. We lost them. We also worked with a major mobile phone carrier that I can't name either, and they stole a lot of our ideas and moved on. We were too young to know. We didn't know. We didn't understand that game. And so that's why we stayed away from sort of and I'm sure there's a right way to do that. We just didn't do it right, and we got burned. We invested a lot of time and a lot of money. They took all of our strategies and decided to do it in-house.
Perfect. Fantastic. Right, now getting into the reporting section, most of the agencies spend a lot of time in reports and telling the customers, educating the customers what's actually happening and where they are today. So what is your typical reporting process? How do you report to the customers?
That's probably been one of the most inconsistent things of us doing something that worked well across the board, because a lot of our legacy clients weren't doing everything with us. So the short answer is we have constantly tried to pull back and keep things as simple. Remember that knowledge gap thing? So we try to stick to analytics, webmaster tools, and also we use a third-party software that pulls in data from Facebook and analytics and all this stuff. So there's that. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but we used to use Raven tools. We've used a bunch of tools. Today, we like to pay attention to what matters. Like Webmaster Tools tells us the health of the client's website, and it can point out gains of impressions, which is helping their presence. We can see click-through rates. Even though we could argue all day about the reporting accuracy, at least if we're looking at it the same all the time, we're at least seeing accurate information. Same thing with analytics. And then we're kind of compiling the rest of the data in this third-party tool, and I just don't know the name of it. Our team uses it, and it seems to bring in as much information as they need to give to the clients. Again, most of our clients don't want the nitty-gritty details, so analytics and web mapping tools gives us enough of what we need typically. Today, obviously, with our new model, we have obviously our HubSpot reporting, but we only have a few clients in that platform.
Okay. So what typical activity kind of consumes a lot of time? Is it on the SEO side or preparing creatives for Facebook and things like that? Which is one activity which consumes most of your time?
Content creation is obviously our number one time killer. There's no question about it. Content creation is where we're at right now. I mean, we're either creating offers for the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, blog posts, traffic in order to get SEO rankings. So content is the number one time commitment for us, no question about it.
Perfect. Fantastic. Like one last question on the billing side of it. Like, what is your typical billing cycle and how do you do it? Advance or in the middle?
So we always take the first month in advance. So we're getting paid for. So we're in advance and we collect every 30 days. So if the client's retainer is $2,000 a month, they're going to pay us $2,000 this month, and then every 30 days we're auto billing their credit card or auto debiting their bank account. We don't do any invoices anymore as far as through the mail, or we refuse to take checks anymore because we just been burned. So if you don't have a recurring debit on the credit card or ACH on your checking account, it doesn't work for us.
All right. So what about any typical work that kind of comes at, like, do you say you got to outsource for a particular work? Do you outsource any work in that case?
We outsource, I'll tell you what we outsource. So we use some of the typical names you probably are aware of, anything from simple things on Fiverr, like video transcription, audio transcription, up to Upwork, where we have API integration sometimes with designers. Every now and then we made, I'm trying to think what else we do with Upwork. Yeah, typically more of the technical stuff we may go over to Upwork. This year we're planning on hiring a development team here in-house. We thought about it and we figured we'd probably be better off if we had a dev team here that would understand the context of the client's project and marketing. But right now we're using Upwork and Fiverr for all the typical things you could think of, from transcriptions to, I guess, yeah, really transcriptions and technical work are about the majority. Every now and then we have some images and banners created, things like that, but nothing, if I had to put a percentage on it, it's probably less than 10%.
Fantastic. All right, cool. So
I think we might have more need of that as we continue to grow, because trying to balance growth and staff is going to be challenging. So that we'll have to see how that plays out.
All right. So what is the revenue like for Yokel Local?
We'll cross $1 million this year, which is for the first time. And we stalled. We got to about 550 pretty quickly, and then we stalled the last couple of years trying to figure out who we wanted to be. And it was frustrating, but we had to go through it. And we actually fell back from 550 to, I don't know, 4 something last year. But we had to figure out who we were going to be. So we hired a kind of a strategic advisor, helped us reshape our company. We had some staff back then that we obviously had to figure out if they were going to grow with us or grow away from us. And so that was a tough year. 2014 was a tough year. 2015 was a tough year. And we chose, I guess, to not acquire new customers aggressively, because we were going through this transitional framework of who are we going to be, and are we doing a disservice to people bringing them in when we're not clear about who we want to be. Let's service our current customers, let's take customers as they come, but let's define who we're going to be the next 5 years, and that's what we did. So fortunately we're growing now. I mean, I think we've added, right now we just had a meeting this morning, we potentially have 6 new clients pending right at the moment, which for us, a pipeline of 6 new retainer clients is a little scary, because at any given time, we don't to bring in 6 full onboarded inbound clients at one time could get a little weird. So, because there's just so much work that we have to do. But our new model's working, and like I said, I'm excited to see where we're at 12/31 this year, because I feel like we will have a significant boost in our second half of the year. Our model's working. Our new sales philosophy is working, and this is just the beginning. Our traffic on our site's going up. We're publishing a lot more for ourselves, and we're running more ads on Facebook. So we're starting to really refine our own sequencing.
That's pretty cool. So do you believe that being in HubSpot agency has kind of got you an edge to get into the next level?
I'll tell you what HubSpot did for us. It solidified our back-end software problem. HubSpot is fantastic with training, with support. Their platform is fantastic. They are also acting in a way as an advisor to us. And because their partner program is so well-defined, and because they care about every partner they bring in, it's not just lip service. And my partner and I, we worked with other platforms that had similar capabilities, and you've probably been there before, Vala, with your experience. You go through a product demo, and you hear all the sizzle and the steak, and here's what it does, and then you get it, and you buy it, and then it doesn't do half of what they said, or the support is gone. And so it's been 180 degrees with HubSpot. And so HubSpot, by the way, we started our conversation with HubSpot in 2013. And I'll tell you this, they told us we weren't good enough.
Really?
They told us we could not become a partner. We were not ready for them. And it hurt my ego so bad. It hurt my ego so bad that I remember the guy who I talked to. So that when we went back to HubSpot in August, they called us back, by the way. It was pretty cool. So they called us last July and said, hey, listen, we think you're ready. Would you like to have that conversation again?
Fantastic.
And then we go out to the conference in September. So I remember that guy that told me, no, you can't become a partner right now. And I won't say his name on this camera, but I went looking for him at the conference because I said, if I find him, I'm going to slap the hell out of him. Now, I was joking, of course, but he said something that was profound because he said to me, we have a way we do things here, and your company's not in alignment with that today. So if you get yourself in alignment with that, then you'll be a better fit for us. And it was what we needed to hear. And so, 2013 to last year is when we became a partner, and everything we're doing right now is modeled around what we've been good at, tied in with the HubSpot model and philosophy and software, and that's how we're progressing moving forward. And the partnership community there has been fantastic. They've been helping us, not just HubSpot, but the partners in the HubSpot community that we've talked to, reached out to us. They provided us a tremendous amount of support as well. So we're still doing our thing inside the HubSpot model and adding their flavor to it, and their software is completely everything they said it is.
That's pretty standard answer I pretty much get from most of the HubSpot agencies I talk to. Pretty interesting. Very well said. Thank you very much, Darrell, for patiently answering all my questions. I'm sorry I kind of took more time than I kind of requested for. It was really, really fun talking to you, really, and I look forward to have many more conversations like this.
Sounds good, Bala. Thanks so much, man.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Goodbye.